welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the Grayscale Trust's Bitcoin positions that we're going to buy tomorrow at the Fed Watch tool and the upcoming FOMC meeting next week, and also the swing trade that we may end up taking profit on tomorrow morning. So with that being said, let's get it. All right, so I'm going to start with Bitcoin. Pretty simple, as long as we're above this monthly trend line. And again, this one right here back in 2017 looks more like a fan than just a straight trend line. That's because the momentum picked up once it got past the previous all-time high as expected. So I had to draw a new trend line here. And then obviously once we got below that, that was the bear market, right? So as long as we're above that on the monthly time frame, we're good, which we are. The other thing I wanted to point out is I think likely the cycle top is not in yet because, again, we have not seen a major overbought signal on the RSI yet of anywhere between 90 to 95. The highest we've gotten on the monthly time frame is 75. So, and I'm aware that not every cycle has to play out the exact same way, but I mean, come on now. This is, I mean, you literally can't make this up. Every single the four major peaks that we've had in the past, every single one of them has led to that major 95-ish RSI overbought signal. Okay, every single time that's happened. So it's hard to discount something like that. Okay, so I'm going to go over the swing trade real quick. We'll close up with the Grayscale Trust. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth on those. So we got out of QUBTS, as you guys know. The one that we're looking at likely to smash to new all-time highs is going to be this one. Tomorrow morning, we'll wait and see what happens. But QUBT, I told you guys this already on X. So if you guys have not seen that post, you might want to go check it out. But we already posted basically what the trade looks like here. So we got a break at the trend line. Came off of oversold, got the golden crosses on all three indicators here. And the price has smashed above the EMAs on the 4 hourly time frame. So it all looks good, right? And then you got the earnings coming up too. Right around this time frame is going to be after the FOMC, but right towards the end, I would say about the 3rd to the 4th week of March, that we're coming up on. If we're going to be coming out of bearish seasonality and going back into the continuation of the bull run in a typical bull market year, which we usually go up between the price of the markets, the value of the markets go up usually between April and July, the heaviest, and then kind of towards the end of the year, right around October, November, December timeframe. If we're going to see that, it's going to be right around the time of this earnings. So something to keep in mind on that. Okay, here's our profit target for the 15% profit. Again, it's still relatively early to get into this trade. If I just showed you guys the Fibonacci's, let's say maybe from this swing high to this swing low here, you can see that the next level, the 1.618, which is pretty major resistance right here, we wouldn't even hit this until $11.30. So, yeah, I mean, if that were to play out, massive upside on this thing. And again, this is one of those stocks that went from literally pennies to absolutely stupid valuations. At its lowest point, it was at 35 cents, and it went all the way up to $27. So this is a quantum stock on the backing of Google's Willow AI chip or quantum chip, whatever you want to call it. So I would not discount this one. That's just my opinion, of course. But yeah, anyways, QUBT on Friday was up massive. The markets as a whole were up quite a bit, but not 33% like this one. So as of right now, it's the total return currently up 8.63%. We're thinking this is probably likely going to hit the target tomorrow. That remains to be seen, but that's kind of what it looks like right now. So there's a few other things that we wanted to say. So we're done with GPIC. Okay, so actually wasn't going to tell you guys this until we made the trade, but yes, we are going to buy some more triple QT. That is the goal. And why is that? It's quite simple, because the NASDAQ has given us a signal like we talked about on Friday. I'll go over here real quick to the NASDAQ and scroll over to the 4 hourly time frame. I'll show you once again what we were talking about. Okay, so you got bullish divergence, price down, MACD, RSI up, and then a break of the trend line. Plus you have a double bottom here, and we got the golden cross, the triple golden cross actually between the EMAs and the VWAP here, and we're now retesting it, so we should theoretically see a higher high from here. This is pretty much what we told you guys we were looking for, some kind of major catalyst or a signal from the markets that likely it was going to go higher. Okay, it's exactly what we've been looking for, and I'm aware the markets say they're down right now, but that could always change at the open. Keep in mind there are people that are trading these markets just simply for the idea of making profit. Okay, But we wanted to buy GPIC as it was going down, then we wanted to buy triple QT as the next position as the markets are continuing to climb back up while the price is still relatively cheap. Because once it goes back to $20, let's say we get 100 shares at an average cost of, I don't know, $18.50 or something, and it goes up to 20. Well, we're getting the dividends and we're still sitting on $150 in profits. So something to think about. That's kind of the thought processes here and the strategy. So it's just a flat ETF that pays dividends over time. But if it stays at $20, then that's a pretty good deal as far as I'm concerned. So that's what we're looking at for the portfolio. Still going to buy more TSLL starting tomorrow. So 3 more days of purchasing that at whatever price, at least as long as it's below the cost basis. And then we have 1,000 shares. And then from there, we'll decide what to do next, and we'll let you guys know. So the next thing I wanted to talk about here is the FOMC. So the Fed is having their next meeting in 2 days. All right. And I believe that's on 2 days and 18 hours. So maybe that's okay. So it's on March 19th. So yeah, that's going to be Wednesday. So Wednesday, they usually have it right around 11:30 Pacific Standard Time. And as you guys can see, the markets are absolutely not expecting the Fed to move. But then May, it becomes a little bit greater chance of a cut, but not quite. Still basically no move there. And then they're expecting a very high level chance that they're going to cut again in June. It's a bit weird that they cut and then cut and then paused. After they paused, they cut and then they paused again, and then they're planning on cutting again. It's kind of a bit strange, but whatever the case, that's what the market expects is June. And then July, basically no cut. September, another cut. October, October here, no cut. And then December, it's basically a 50-50 chance of potentially a cut, maybe no cut. So we're looking at about 2 to 3 rate cuts again this year. So there's that. Now I want to throw a couple things out here. Okay. So number one, if Jay Powell comes out and says anything about QE or, we're done rolling balance off our assets off the balance sheet, we're done with basically selling off assets, and we're thinking about QE, if he suggests anything in any way, shape, or form about QE or given any forward guidance about additional rate cuts this year, that alone could be enough to send the market skyrocketing all the way to the moon. Okay. It could happen. It's possible. I don't think it's likely at this point, but I think it's possible. Okay. So there's another thing that I wanted to throw out here. And again, this is kind of a wild one, but it could happen. So if for whatever reason the Fed let's say that Trump gets what he wants, right? And then he ends up bringing the economy to such a slow point, slows it down so much, causes inflation to basically drop dead, like it got stomped on the neck 1,000 times, right? It's just never coming back to life. If something like that were to happen, if we see something like that happen to the point where it's like, okay, yikes, we may end up having some kind of serious flash crash because the Fed may have to come in and cut rates immediately, very, very aggressively. There's a possibility we may actually get a 2020 style dump instead of a 2022. I don't think this slow grind down is going to be what we're going to see. If we're going to see something with Trump being in office based on historical data, it seems much, much more likely we're going to get your pandemic style dump where the markets just go absolutely stupid. Everybody's freaking out, selling everything they have, including their wife and kids, and just trying to get the hell out of the way before the freight train comes, right? We could see something very similar to 2020. As a matter of fact, it already kind of looks like that. But again, it would have to be just like the slowing of everything and the killing of inflation would have to be almost immediate. And then the markets would absolutely panic. I mean, just sheer panic, way worse than what you're seeing right now. And then the Fed would come in and say, okay, yeah, we're going to cut by 250 or 300 basis points, get a huge drop on the markets. Well, maybe not huge, maybe like from the peak, maybe like minus 20, 30%, maybe 35%, and then boom, V-shaped recovery. We could get something like that this year. That would obviously negate the April to July run, which would kind of explain why the market thinks that likely the first Fed rate cut is going to come in June. Again, that's just my opinion. Doesn't mean it has to happen, but something to consider. Okay. And for that reason, that is one of the many reasons why we have so much money set on the sides right now to buy these dips because, again, we are just not sure yet if we're going to create lower lows or if we're going to break structure and go back up. Okay. So now that I've thrown all that out there, let's talk about the trusts. Again, I know some of you guys wanted the kind of like larger profit target levels. So we'll go over that briefly and then we'll go over the actual finite details of this. Okay, so the micro retracement here, you're looking at a max level on LTCN of 230. And the macro retracement, which is pretty ridiculous, would be 2,260. So BCHG would be all the way up at roughly about just shy of $100, about $95 on this one. And then next level here, actually I got to redo this because that's not even accurate. So let's see, next level here. And again, usually we do separate videos for this, but we don't have time right now, so we're just going to throw it into one, 274. Next level HZEN. So again, the idea here with the retracements is swing high to swing low, whatever those most extreme points are. So in this case, $40, which lines up almost exactly with the previous all-time high. And then we go from here to here. So extreme low or extreme high to extreme low in this case, all the way up to 125. Next one, ETCG. Yeah, I suppose we can do both on this one. So we'll do both. So the small one would be roughly about 61. That makes sense because that's pretty much in line with some of the previous peaks. And then the large one here, which is absolutely a possibility. This could be definitely, I mean, it could definitely happen. I mean, these market caps on these trusts are small enough. So about $400 on ETCG. ETH. I'm sure you guys were probably wondering, like, oh, well, do you still think it's possible we could hit these macro levels? Absolutely, I do. It's just a question of whether the Fed's going to print money, right? Are we going to go back to good times in QE, or are we not? You know, when's that going to happen? So 106 here for the micro, and then for the macro, this gets to be a bit more ridiculous. So we're looking at about 280 on this one. And yeah, I do definitely think that's possible. So this one, just a single retracement. Again, if it hit the all-time high this cycle, it's only going to be one retracement, not two. So GBAT here, we got 130, 132, somewhere in there. Huge upside. It could always happen. Keep in mind these, based on Bitcoin's monthly indicator, we likely still have not hit the cycle peak, and these things have not gone on a new leg up yet. So 1,700 on FILG. Next one here at GLIV. So this one, 325, and I don't know if you guys noticed this, but each one of these has created a higher low, okay? So long as this high is above this high, then that's a bull trend, right? It's when we start creating lower lows, which in this case would be nearly impossible, that, you know, we would be going back to the whole bear market thing, but that's not what's happening here, okay? It's a nasty pullback, but it's definitely not a lower low. So we got 875 on G-Link, GSOL. This one had a stock split. I'm aware of that. Not really too concerned about that. I mean, it's the retracement. It doesn't matter with the retracements. So this one, in this case, it would be all the way up at 500. I know that sounds insane, but I mean, this is crypto we're talking about. Anything's possible. So for this one, we'll do the single one here. So this one could go all the way up to 400. That's definitely a possibility. If it ever gets past the swing high here at 70, and especially those one at 96, it could definitely happen. So Mana, this is also going to be a one-time retracement. So you're also looking at potentially a double bottom here, 1-2 tap, right? Usually that's what you want to see for kind of a bullish setup. Obviously the price would have to go up immediately for that to confirm, but yeah, that's kind of what you look for. So about 290 on Mana. Next one here is eCash. So we'll do the micro and then the macro. So micro looks like about $36, and then the macro here is going to be 166. So I mean, that's like an 80x. That's absolutely insane. Okay, so now that we've done the Fibonacci retracements, let's actually go into the finite details of these trusts. So LTCN bouncing off of this flip zone here, you can see it tested as resistance, got rejected, tested again, went sideways, and then boom, broke out, right? We're retesting that same level. That's a major structure level. Obviously, it was tested even more during the bear market. You can see back there. So as long as we hold this, I'd say we're good to potentially go up at some point. So $6.70 to $8. If you're worried that's not going to hold, maybe look for somewhere right around this $3.50 to $3.80. And before I forget, I'll just measure out to the swing high up here, which is right around 54, 55. So 650% gain. BCHG, same thing. So we're testing a major structural level, 1, 2 rejections here, right? Then we kind of melted up a little bit into it, and then boom, took off to the upside. Now we're retesting that exact same level. What do we need to confirm a new uptrend? We basically need a breakup structure, which is right above here. We want to see it go. Well, basically, we're creating lower lows and lower highs here. So we get a break above this level and then a retest, and then basically it would look something like this, right? That's really ugly, but you guys get the idea. So if we get a break of that level, then that's pretty much the confirmation right there that the overall or the smaller time frame trend is actually going to continue up. We're still technically in a bull trend because again we're creating higher lows on the lower end here of the price. So 240 to 280 for the support zone right here. 24 is still the immediate target. That again is going to be the swing high, so 910, 913%. Next one here, HZEN. So we have cracked this support level. That's not great. This could be an undercut. We'll have to wait and see. But if not, then I'd be looking for the next level right around $2. With the target still being all the way up here at the swing high at right around 1070 for about 415% gain. ETCG. I don't think that the price is going to go much lower than this right around 730 to 770. I think unless things turn really sour in the markets, then yeah, possibly. If we get lower than that, maybe somewhere around 630, maybe even as low as $5. Just keep those numbers in mind. With the target still being at the swing high right around 20. So measured move here about 175% ETHE. So we're in this green box. Again, this green box has tested as support here, or as resistance here in the past. It did kind of test as support a little bit back here, but not really. So it's kind of a big level. And again, if I were just to kind of draw this box all the way across here, you can do this with any chart. You can see it did retest quite a few times as resistance, and then we even tested with the EMAs and the price here kind of as support a few times, kind of all over the place, so to speak, but it's a major level. So anywhere between 1030 to about 16 on this one for the buy area. And then the target's still going to be right up at 73 for about 625% gain. And keep in mind, this could take 3-6 months to play out, something like that. It wouldn't shock me if it took that long. So long as the price action plays out to the upside before the end of the year, which would be the end of the cycle, I would say we're okay. Unless for some reason the ETFs have changed the whole 4-year cycle theory thing, which I don't think they have. But again, we won't know until next year. We'll just have to wait and see, okay? So GBAT, current buy level right around 240. If we get below that, I'd be looking all the way down here at about $1.15. Target would be the all-time highs at 32. So about 1,225% gain. FILG. This one's still looking very cheap, so I'd be looking next level here right around $12. The all-time high is at 400. I mean, again, this thing is pretty freaking cheap at this point. I mean, we're almost oversold on the weekly time frame, so 3,100%. You can see how low this level is. We are below the break-even level here, which is technically bear territory, but again, usually when it gets if any kind of asset gets oversold, that's when people come in to look to be buying the dip. You can see it did happen right here, right? We got pretty oversold, and then what happened? It went from 50 all the way to 150. Got oversold here, pretty close, and then went from 20 all the way to 100. So it's just a question of when the big boys are going to come in and buy the dip, right? So GLIV, The price action here is really all over the place, so I'm just going to give the whole range here, 220 to about 690. Anywhere in there is obviously extremely cheap. The all-time high would be the target, at least to consider start to scale out, because you should, if you're buying down here anywhere, you should theoretically be in profit. So 3,880%. G-Link, I would say probably around 2160 is what I'd be looking for at this point, because we did get a cut and basically a break through this support zone, and we've retested it now once and gotten rejected. So as of right now, I'd say probably likely going down to 22, especially if the markets don't start going up immediately from here. So 230, again, the target for the all-time high for roughly about a 10x move, 946%. G saw a nice little bounce off this level. So clearly there's something going on there. The question is it going to continue to go up or not? We're pretty much oversold on the weekly at this point, so it's extremely cheap right now. 80 to 115, again, is the target I'd be looking at for 1,030% gain. Now, if you're a bear on this and you're saying, well, screw that, I think it's going to cut straight below that line, your next level would be at 515 if you're looking to go bullish. GXLM, nice little wick off this white box. Again, this is a pretty significant level. It doesn't look like it, but we had a rejection here, a couple of rejections here. We had an overcut, then a smash straight back down here. You can see the bears really don't want it going above this level. We had a couple tests off of this by the bulls, and then another rejection by the bears, and we have a gap right here too, so very significant level. For right now, we're holding it. That's 29 to 31. That's pretty much the level I'd be looking to buy at right now, unless the candles, the price action change. So target would be the swing high up here at 69 for a nice 130% gain. Next one here at Mana. So we could bounce off these lows at 550. Personally, just to be on the safe side, I would say probably the lowest point here is going to be 350. If for whatever reason it comes back and tests, not quite the bear market lows, still pretty deep in terms of a drawdown, and then boom, starts popping up to the upside, especially if the markets are right about the Fed rate cuts, then we could see something like that happen. So 350 here for Mana for the buy area, and then 70 for the target. So, even at this point, you're looking at a 20x. And even if you got your average at 350 and you were just looking for like a 5x, that's easily doable, okay? It doesn't seem like it, but $15 is only, or what is a 5x? So 5x is about 17, 18 bucks. It could retest the support right here and then drop back down further. You'd still be up a 5x. Regardless, 2,020% on this one. Just to get back to the highs, so Zcash here, we're retesting this major level. I would say probably right around this kind of 210 is what I'd be looking at for a potential pick-me-up, and then 10.5, the previous swing high for the target. Again, that's not the ultimate target, but that's just kind of like, okay, we hit the first target, where are we going off to next, right? 425% gain. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.